Welcome, seekers. Today's story is about a woman who fights to regain custody of her younger siblings after years of being their sole caregiver, while her parents abandon them to live carefree lives and continue having more children. Enjoy the story. Sometimes life feels like a never-ending loop, like you're stuck on a treadmill running, but never getting anywhere. That's how my life felt, like I was always chasing something I'd never catch. I never got the chance to live life the way I wanted. I'm Jay, a 26-year-old woman, the eldest of 5 siblings, with 4 younger siblings, and I was the one who became the de facto parent, while my real parents were living their own carefree lives. And if you think you know what it's like to be stuck in a situation where you can't escape, you have no idea. I was the one who took care of my siblings, and my parents never looked back. They just came home long enough to give birth and then disappeared again. It all started when my parents got an inheritance from my grandfather. The excitement was palpable. I thought, finally, things are going to change. Maybe now they'll have time for us. But I couldn't have been more wrong. With the inheritance came freedom, and with that freedom, they decided to do what most people would dream of: quit their jobs and travel the world. They had more than enough money to live comfortably without lifting a finger, but they never bothered to lift a finger for their kids. At first, I was hopeful, thinking that they might finally be able to spend more time with us. But they didn't. They started taking trips without us. They went on vacation every chance they got, leaving me behind to take care of my younger siblings. I was 16 when the first sibling arrived, my younger sister. At that age, I should have been living my life, making mistakes, hanging out with friends, and starting to think about my future. But no, I was suddenly a second mother. When I was 19, my second sister came along. Then my brother arrived when I was 21. And finally, my youngest sister came when I was 23. I became their caretaker. There was no choice. My parents just assumed that I would step up and take over the responsibilities, and they did nothing to help. At 16, when my first sister was born, I had to help with everything. My parents were too busy planning their next trip, buying new clothes, or posting about their adventures on social media. I watched them living their lives while I was stuck at home, babysitting, cleaning, cooking, and being the parent to my younger siblings. And then it just kept happening. By the time my second sister came, I was only 19. Then my brother arrived, and I was 21. But by then, it felt like I was already the only one who cared for them. My parents would visit, but only when they needed something, usually when my mother was pregnant again. They'd come home, have the baby, and leave again, disappearing for months at a time, as though we didn't even exist. It was the pressure that almost broke me. It felt like I had no control over my own life. I was 19, and my parents were already on their third kid, while I was stuck at home, cleaning up after them. I remember so clearly one night, just sitting in the kitchen, making dinner for my younger siblings, feeling the weight of it all. I was physically exhausted. The responsibilities never stopped. The worst part was that my parents never noticed. They didn't ask how I was doing, if I needed help, or if I wanted to go out and enjoy my youth like I was supposed to. They didn't care. They would come home long enough to deliver a baby and then leave us to pick up the pieces. My entire life became about them. It wasn't just about taking care of the kids. It was about being their emotional support. I became the one they turned to when something went wrong. But when things were fine, they were gone. Their life was one big vacation, while I was left with the heavy burden of responsibility. By the time I was 19, I started to feel something I couldn't ignore: resentment. I loved my siblings, but I was slowly starting to hate the life I was living. I had to put my own dreams on hold, my hopes for the future shattered every time my parents left. I thought about going to college, pursuing my own goals, or having a life of my own, but it wasn't possible. I had to be there for my siblings because my parents weren't. They were too busy living a life that didn't involve us. And every time I tried to voice my frustrations, it fell on deaf ears. My third sibling arrived when I was 21. I was so tired that I couldn't even bring myself to be excited. Instead, I resented the fact that they had left me with more responsibility while they were off exploring the world, doing whatever they wanted. The breaking point came when I was 23. The youngest sibling was born, and it felt like everything I had worked for was slipping further and further away. By now, I had spent 7 years raising my younger siblings. I had missed out on college and missed out on everything I should have experienced. I thought, maybe this will be the last time. Maybe they'll come back and help. Maybe they'll see what I've done. But no, my parents left again, and it was just me again. At this point, I was so bitter, so angry that I couldn't keep it in any longer. I finally asked myself, when is it going to be my turn? I had spent so many years sacrificing my happiness, and yet nothing had changed. My parents weren't even trying. They weren't even aware of the sacrifices I had made. By the time I was 25, I realized I had lost everything. My relationship with my friends had deteriorated. I didn't have the life I had dreamed of. I had no future of my own. And the worst part was, I couldn't even look at my siblings the same way anymore. I loved them, but I had become their servant, not their sister. My parents still didn't understand. When I confronted them about all the years I had sacrificed, their response was simple. We gave you everything you needed. Why are you complaining? My dad even said, you should be grateful. Grateful? Grateful for what? For the years they had taken from me? It's been over a year since I cut contact with my parents. They still don't understand why I did it, but I needed space. I needed to breathe. For once, I needed to live for me. When I finally made the decision to step away, their response was harsh. They accused me of not loving my siblings, of being selfish. My dad said, you're supposed to be the responsible one. This is your duty. My mom echoed it, saying, you don't love your siblings enough. You're being selfish. It hurt, but deep down, I knew I had sacrificed so much. I had spent years taking care of my younger siblings, giving up my own dreams and future for their well being. They never saw the cost of it, only the daughter who wasn't playing her role anymore. I'm slowly rebuilding my life, one step at a time. I'm starting to pursue the things I put on hold for so long. I've started going to therapy, and I've realized how much I've been holding on to for far too long. The weight of my sacrifices still lingers, but I know now that I need to live for me. No more living in the shadows of my parents' happiness. It's my turn. It's hard to admit how much I've lost, but at least I'm still here and I'm still standing. There's hope yet, and I will fight for it. If you're in a similar situation, please don't lose yourself in trying to fix everyone else's life. Take care of yourself. You deserve to live too. I've learned that sacrifice is fine when it's mutual, but one-sided sacrifice will destroy you. And now it's my turn to take back the life I lost. Many of you have been asking what happened to us, so I wanted to give an update. Let me start by saying this. I love all of my siblings with every fiber of my being. The bond we share is unbreakable, and that's why I can't just stand by and let this continue. I've taken action to ensure their safety and well-being. I've reported the situation to Child Protective Services because I am deeply concerned about how they are being treated. I've also secured a lawyer, and I'm currently gathering evidence to fight for full custody of my siblings. It's not easy, and this fight won't be simple, but I will not stop until they are safe and we are all reunited. The separation has been excruciating for all of us, and it's something none of us should have to endure. Please send us your positive thoughts and support as we go through this process. I'm doing everything I can to bring us back together as a family. We all deserve the chance to heal, to live together, and to be the family we should have been from the start. Thank you again for your love and encouragement. I'm not giving up on them, and I'm not giving up on us. Well, seekers, what do you think? How would you handle this if it were you?